jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
Hello. And here we are once again, Mike and Corey from Culture Shock Podcast. How are you, sirs?
Very well, thank you.
You're joining John. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
And here we are talking about Hitman's Bodyguard and its outrageous sequel, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Outrageous is putting it lightly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy shit. But we were glad to have a guest to do this. And so tell us about yourselves. What kind of genres you got into, especially when it came to action comedies that were kind of in the vein of 48 Hours and Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, I was never really much for 48 Hours, honestly.
Oh, good.
Or the
I hated
next-
it
or the
growing
next-
up, but I learned to love it over time. So
Yeah, I don't know, maybe if I gave it another chance, but I'm kind of, when I hate something when I'm a kid, I have a hard time going back to try it again.
It's so good.
It's very awesome. I had so much fun revisiting it, but make sure it's uncut. If it's not edited, like when it plays on something like VH1 or, edited on Comedy Central, you're not going to have fun. So
Oh yeah, don't do that.
don't torture yourself.
Well, I'm going to do all I can to find the VHS copy of that movie and slip that into my VCR.
You guys do love
If anybody,
going that
if anybody
far back.
understands that sentence.
Hey, you do you. I want to get the Blu-rays because they got some commentary tracks. So
I bet none of them are Eddie Murphy, though.
Oh.
I mean, Walter Hill is good enough. I mean,
Yeah.
rocks.
True.
Anyway, so we're here to talk about Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. These are by the writers and the director and the studio that brought you the Expendables movies. So
That just tells you right there, quality.
outrageous 80s and 90s, full of itself canon type movies. So what kinds of movies were you guys into that you just would always revisit? Was it stuff like Die Hard or Jackie Chan movies? What made you go out and watch over the top movies?
Well, it's
Over the
funny.
Top was good, yeah.
Over the top.
Oh, so okay, so you're still on camp, perfect.
It's funny that you say that because I talked about it in our first ever episode of our podcast. There's a movie that I love to death that's very similar to this genre called Midnight Run with Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. Movie is phenomenal, and if you've never seen it, I highly recommend
Yeah,
it.
Hard Times. Yeah, great one.
What? No,
Hard
no,
Times.
no. Midnight Run.
No, I mean,
Oh yeah, yes, Midnight Run. Yes, excellent. Yeah. Sorry, I just heard. All right.
I was always into like the kind of obscure fighter movies, like Over the Top was okay, and that's not much of a fighter. It's an arm wrestling movie, but I liked anything with
So Van Damme type stuff, Rocky
Van
stuff.
Damme,
Yeah.
Stallone. I really love Demolition Man. That's like my guilty
Oh,
pleasure
yes,
movie.
that's a classic. Hey, so, but which ones do you think you just commonly like rewatch a lot, like yearly?
For me, it's all the I love the Lethal Weapon movies, Die Hard. You know, your typical ones that everybody talks about.
Rambo,
Rambo, stuff
any
like
TV
that.
shows? Or so much.
Action TV shows?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of this kind of stuff in TV form.
I get made fun of for watching Burn Notice by my fellow
You're in the right
podcast
camp
mates.
here. John and I just did an episode on that. Anyway, so yeah, we do Burn Notice, we do MacGyver, we do 24, we do Person of Interest. We do fun slam bang shit. So obviously all the Star Treks and Law and Orders, but we love all kinds of action, and we just like, hey, you know, we're so fucking sick to death of superhero movies and art house shit that bores the living crap out of us. So it's like, yeah, Hitman's Bodyguard is just like, it's just steroid induced over the top. We enjoy it more than we have any right to love it. It's just silly, stupid shit. So,
Well, you said you're sick of superhero movies, and that's where I exit this Zoom call.
oh Jesus, some of them were good. I like the Justice League extended cut, but god damn, it took a while to get there.
It took way too long to get the actual version of that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a huge Marvel fanboy.
I am.
I love the Defenders, but god, some of those actors cannot act in some of the main movies. Ugh.
No, you're right. The acting isn't what I watch them for sure. I just grew. I grew up a nerd, and finally seeing that stuff on screen was just kind of my thing.
But don't worry, there is an Avenger in here. It is Nick Fury, also known as Samuel L. Jackson. So,
That's right. And Deadpool.
yes, that's right. That's right. I didn't think about that. Yes. Oh god.
And you know what? Commissioner Gordon's even in this movie. So.
Oh,
That's true.
And Elodie Young, Elektra from Daredevil show. So there you go. Okay.
And wow, yeah.
Salma Hayek, you better
Salma Hayek is
Eternal. So there, I said everyone's done a fucking superhero movie.
You'd
Okay.
be stupid these days not to do one if you're an actor.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds has done 3 different comic book characters. So
Oh, that's
Sure.
right. Played Trinity and
4. I forgot because R.I.P.D. is also a comic.
oh.
Jeez.
So wait, what's the fourth one?
Do we not talk about Green Lantern?
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I keep forgetting that's the thing.
Ryan
Oh,
Reynolds doesn't
God.
talk about Green Lantern.
Yes,
That's
he
true.
did. John shared a funny Twitter trend that was him reacting to it while he was baked.
Yep.
Speaking of the devil. Anyway, so what made you guys want to see these movies?
I know Mike's answer to this question.
Yeah.
We kind of grew up together. Me and Mike have known each other a long time, and
We
Since the
grew up
first
together,
day-
saxophone.
There-
Anyway, so
hold on,
seriously.
I'll pause for the saxophone.
Anyway, so
he-
you're bringing awesome shit to each other's houses and best BFFs for life.
Best BFFs for life. And since the first day I think he's been in a movie, all Mike's talked about is Ryan Reynolds. He loves him.
That's not entirely true. The first movie, which it's a shit movie, but it made me fall in love with Ryan Reynolds, was Blade Trinity. That movie made him
Thundercunt.
that movie made him my favorite actor, and it's all she wrote from there.
Oh man, I had a stuck up horror podcast I was a part of. Don't worry, it's dog shit. Don't ever listen to it. But these people are snobs and act like nothing is good and like they know everything about film. To where it's just like, seriously, get laid, fuck off. But I remember they were obsessed with like Jessica Biel and Blade Trinity, and I was just like, but they're like, I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm like, there's plenty.
Oh, there's so much wrong with that movie.
Right in front of you. Oh my
mean-
god, the CGI, the Wesley Snipes not giving a fuck. Oh my god, no.
Ryan Reynolds is the only redeeming quality of that movie.
He is the only one. Even Chris Christopherson exits stage right. He's like,
He said, "Fuck this amount."
let me go back and do a
I got
CMT
my
music
check that
video. Man. So okay, yeah, you're Ryan Reynolds fans for life. John, you want to tell me about the movie you introduced me to that I had always heard about but never seen? His heist movie from 03.
Oh,
Oh, Foolproof.
Yes.
that's a
yeah.
good movie.
That's it,
So much
yeah.
fun, and it's a movie no one's ever heard of it. You can find it free on YouTube Movies and Tubi.
Unless you're a Ryan Reynolds fan.
Yeah, I've never heard of that movie.
yeah,
I own
it
on
seems like
DVD.
well, that's just it because it's like that was like the beginning stages of his career. He had done Waiting, and then when he got to like the third stage of his career, as I like to call, after the second stage, which was Green Lantern and R.A.P.D., he basically he's hot shit now with Deadpool, and he's doing these movies.
He was extremely hit or miss before Deadpool.
Deadpool revitalized his career for sure.
Well, totally, and I mean, everyone. He was in such bit parts in all kinds of movies, as well as just movies that were just hit and miss all to begin with, like the Amityville Horror remake and all that. So I was just like, I don't know what to feel about him. I don't have problems with him one way or the other. And when I saw him in a movie, often he was pretty cool. But yeah, I saw Foolproof and Definitely Maybe, and I was like, he had the chops, already to begin with before he took off. Because you're coming to this movie, Elodie Yang was already in those, I think, District B13 movies and all of that other cool stuff. Richard E. Grant's another face. I've seen a bunch of stuff. And I mean, who doesn't know Gary Oldman or Samuel L. Jackson from, their various Tarantino movies and blockbusters and even some horror movies and comedies, it's like they're dynamite and everything.
Two of the biggest stars in Hollywood.
I love how crazy this movie is, and yet how serious Gary Oldman is through the entire thing.
Oh, you're rooting for his comeuppance.
It's so out of place.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I wouldn't give a shit either. I would just be like, hey, give it whatever it merits.
No, I love that it's out of place. Like, it's like, I don't know why, but it makes it better.
Being your usual Mexican stereotype. Yeah, some of the bitches, motherfuckers.
Oh, I think she says motherfucker more than Samuel Jackson in this movie.
She definitely does.
She's even more Salma. She's way more Salma Hayek in the second movie.
Don't you love how she's trying to get like positive, play feminist types, and yet here she is playing like a terrible stereotype. Oh, double standards, people. Anyway, so everyone's pretty badass. Did you guys see this in the theater?
I saw the first one in the theater, yes.
Same.
No, I think I rented it right after it came out.
Okay, very neat. So it took a while to get to the sequel, but when I finally did, I just bought the Blu-ray discounted. But yeah, I had seen the first one in theaters. My brother and his girlfriend at the time loved it. I liked it. My sister thought it was too stupid. It was trying too hard to be a Deadpool knockoff. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. It's not at all like that.
It's not at all.
The trailer, somehow, for whatever reason, people got that impression. Is like, no, it's 48 hours. It's unapologetic, politically incorrect, 80s, 90s action comedy. And
absolutely.
I don't get it, because like Ryan Reynolds is actually, like, in the first movie anyway, the straight man between the two.
Yeah. I mean, well, why just, I mean, if anything, I mean, the poster was a spoof of the Bodyguard, and with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston, and I mean, that's already funny enough that Sam Jackson kind of does some small. It's very subtle, but he does a little. I mean, how could he not? It would be out of place if he didn't. If he does some little nods to his signature Pulp Fiction role, and it's like, well, yeah, he's playing a hitman, so why not? But yeah, I mean, it pretty much just gets off the ground running, and it's just so cool to see some better CGI and just practical effects, and just a movie that does not give a fuck. If you reject it, fine on you. If you accept it, have at it. It's so rare I see this kind of movie anymore, that with a Charlie Sheen type attitude.
Yeah, this movie was extremely one-dimensional in one way. It just kind of went linear, cop, buddy cop. They become a little bit friends by the end, but somehow it worked in this one. Like, I think it was just the two main guys.
Oh, no question. I mean,
play off each other so well.
It's not going to win a Golden Globe for best comedy, but yeah, it's trying to, in some ways, yes, it is trying to appeal to that 48 Hours or even Red and Kingsman attitude. But yeah, at the same time, it's also just like, hey, if you like these stupid over the top, hard-boiled cops and, foreign intrigue movies, you're going to love this. If you don't, then fuck off. It's just...
It was extremely aware of itself. That's what I liked about it.
Oh, totally.
It knew what it was supposed to be, and it steered right into it.
I love how the guy at the beginning, he has been in a lot of these other Millennium Films type productions. The agent that gets killed at the beginning. What's his name? It's a weird name. Sam Hazeldine. I had already been a fan of his from The Bad Guy in Mechanic 2 with Jason Statham, and I was like, okay, interesting. But I'm still pissed that Sam Jackson does not join the Expendables. And it's like, okay, well, you're in the Millennium Films factory now, so you better join, motherfucker. But this is a Desperado reunion, even though they don't share scenes together. I mean, Bucho is here.
Yep, he
He's
is.
the traitor's agent, Joaquim de Almeida.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I've
I'm
never
like,
seen him
wait,
play
what?
that kind of role before. Usually he's, a tyrant or drug dealer, or no, he's playing a crooked, like, United Nations like member or some shit. Yeah.
Everything I've ever seen him in, he's a bad guy. So as soon as I saw him, I'm like, there's no way this guy's good.
Well, that's true
Well,
too.
yeah,
but I mean, he's done occasional like fodder figures or bullshit. But yeah, it was interesting. I know they filmed it in like parts of like New Orleans.
No, they filmed in Amsterdam at some points.
I recall seeing a production casting call. It was like somewhere in like either Atlanta or Louisiana.
It might be Atlanta. Wasn't
Maybe
Louisiana,
reshoots there for the stuff that you can't cheat, especially for the bar stuff when they're setting it on fire and just parading around and dancing oblivious to it.
That's just a normal night in Atlanta, so they didn't really have to even shut anything down.
Oh.
Sorry if you're from Atlanta. They're like, no, we agree.
They would agree, actually.
Basically, I just got that this was just going to be a total geek movie. Just when you're filming, speaking to outrageous film geeks, when you got a bodyguard with a code of honor defending someone named Kurosawa. Like, after one of the best filmmakers of all time, I get it.
Yeah.
And he was shot through a C-cup titty size window.
Yes. What a great way to die. Oh my God, it's great. Oh, so what are some other great moments of this outrageous movie?
Jeez,
Oh, God.
where to begin?
I know.
Stupid as can be and just proud of it. Just-
When they're on that nun bus and Ryan's face when he's singing along with them the entire time, like, oh my god,
Yeah. Oh, you got that.
he's
Oh,
just like,
I forgot
Are you
about that. There's so
like,
many
are
other
you
wacky
fucking
visual
kidding me
gags.
right now?
I do got to tip my hat to them though for them just trying all kinds of comedy bits. It's like there's singing gags, there's physical Jackie Chan type gags, and then there's just all sorts of other just kind of just Richard Pryor, George Carlin-ish, but even more just without a filter. When no one enough's enough. It's like they just let him go. I would not be surprised if there's plenty of other ad libs in there.
Oh yeah, that moment when he's complaining to that guy on that street vendor. He's like, this man has literally ruined the word motherfucker for me.
I
Like
love that. Yeah.
the fact that it knew what it was doing. Like that was a very meta moment. Like this is Samuel L.
Oh, yeah.
Jackson. He's gonna say motherfucker like
He has
probably
to, man. He has to.
50 times a movie.
Oh yeah, it was glorious every time. Can't get sick of it. And there are times when you can use him the wrong way.
I think he even says motherfucker twice when he jumps across that gap in the buildings and he's hitting the things going down.
Yep,
I think he
does.
says motherfucker twice.
Oh, motherfucker!
I forgot about that scene. Oh my god.
That's what she said. Yeah, it just you're at the best stage of your career when all you're saying now is just very grade school type humor. Oh, great.
Oh.
It was good. It was so much fun. So
Each other. That's what also helps.
they played well. They didn't feel like they just wanted to kill each other, which says a lot because their characters totally do.
Yeah, they definitely had really good chemistry together, which I was excited that they were making a sequel to it. I didn't really think that there needed to be a sequel because I was like, why? But, when you got a cash cow, because it was the #1 movie for a month running in the world.
Yep, it
Go
was.
for it, man. I think it's less lowbrow than, say, other knockoffs of Lethal Weapon, like, say, Bad Boys or Rush Hour. And I like Bad Boys, but I'm just saying, in general,
I love Rush Hour.
I like the comedy. The story's god-awful, but
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And all three of
didn't
them.
even try. But yeah, it just feels like, okay, it understood what it was referencing a little better than the other late 90s, early 2000s buddy romps, I thought.
That's
Yeah, it's an extremely underrated comedy. It's not really talked about much.
It really isn't.
It's not put on those levels with all.
I
those
didn't even
other
see
ones you
anyone
just
doing
mentioned.
much of a podcast episode on, so hence why I was like, okay, I want to do a double feature of both movies, because it's like they'll talk about some of these, but often it's only those are the podcasts where they got to review anything that's out now. It's like, well, there's COVID and everything, and I'm going to take a while. I got to soak everything in, so it's not happening. But
Yeah, when Corey showed me the list of all the things that you were trying to do episodes on, and I saw Hitman's Bodyguard on there, I was like, I want to fucking do that one.
no one's done one on it before.
He was the first one to answer me on that.
Nice. Very nice. So, I mean, like you guys say, it doesn't break any new gaps, and yet at the same time, it's pretty good for what subgenre it's part of. And so it's just like, yeah, it can be a Friday movie, or it can be a Saturday movie, or it can be a Sunday if you're less tolerable kind of person. But it's like, either way, you win. I would not be surprised if it comes on Comedy Central. I love how all the cable channels that have been playing it, like FX or USA, had left it all uncut.
Even Sci-Fi at times played it.
All uncut. And it was like, great. That's the way to do it.
I'm actually shocked.
It's a common thing they do now, but it took a while. It's like they must have been losing some serious ratings to where they're like, okay, screw it. Everything is uncut. We just will blur nudity.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, some movies on cable, man, are like they're 2 hours long on cable. They're actually like 3.5 hours.
There's plenty of them where they just cut out the language, but they'll still leave all the gore uncut. I'm like, so what is it really rated? PG-15?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
It's a fine line.
Yeah. Oh,
that's the thing about this kind of movie, though. I don't think anybody goes into these kind of movies expecting like we're going to see an Oscar-worthy movie right here.
No,
I really think we watch these kind of movies because we want to laugh and forget about bullshit going on. And this movie hits every note.
I saw the trailer and I literally was like, I'm going to go watch this and laugh my ass off because it looks like it's going to be funny from start to finish.
This was wild. My sister dug the trailer and then didn't dig the movie. She's like, it's too dumb. I'm like, dumber than Fast and Furious? Really? Your Hobbs and Shaw partner? This is dumber than that?
Nothing is dumber than that.
Listen, nothing beats family.
But yeah, it's like, so Reynolds has worked with all kinds of celebs. And so I think he's just at that point where he's just chill. He's like, okay, anyone is irreplaceable. We were all in a rough pickle at some point. I got to be the diamond in the rough. You know?
I mean,
it's cool seeing him do, like you say, just straight faced here for once, because like he does it, but it's just very sparingly now. For a while, he had to be the over the top guy in the room.
It's no secret that lately he just mostly plays himself in movies.
It reminds me of that Chris Pratt interview where he's like acting and he turns his head down and then looks towards the camera. See?
Yes.
like in Red Notice, he's just completely Ryan Reynolds. Like they didn't even need to name the character.
They improvised a lot of that movie. See, okay, so are they actually doing a sequel to Red Notice?
I'm sure they're talking about it since it did so well.
That was one of those.
I believe it was already said that they're going.
I couldn't get into the story, but that's another one. See, my sister and I were both bored by it. My brother liked that and recommended it, and he's like, "Have you guys seen it?" And we were like, "Oh, wish I didn't." But so no, that is interesting. So, did you think the heist and the action was pretty good in that one versus this? Or because I mean that was improvised and everything, and this one, if it's improvised, they're still kind of sticking to a typical generic buddy formula. So,
I mean, I was entertained the entire time, so I didn't have any problems with it. Action wise, there were some definite scenes in that one that I enjoyed a lot, like the whole scaffolding scene when he's like trying to knock him down. He's just climbing up it. I thought that was pretty funny.
Wasn't there like a village of killer ants or some bullshit or something like that? They had some weird predicaments in that. So
yeah, there were some weird predicaments, but I don't remember killer ants. I need to watch it.
Never mind.
I've only watched it once.
Skull. My bad.
Oh, jeez.
Never got that movie.
Hitman's Bodyguard I thought had some really decent action. That entire chase scene towards the end of the movie, where they play Spider Bait's Black Betty way longer than it's actually played.
Yes, and then it's someone doing a cover of it, I think, in another scene also. So yeah, it's very interesting. The soundtrack for this, I should check out the soundtrack. But yeah,
I just love that, you know, you watch his character go through all that shit, and then I don't know where Samuel L. Jackson shows up. He's like, TikTok, motherfucker, like, where have you been?
he has a cool scene with a guy with a drill and something, and he's having to use nothing. He can't use his gun and all that. I'm like, damn, that's brutal.
He starts throwing he starts hitting him with a fucking frying pan, and eventually kills him with some like chain in a hardware store.
Because it's over the top in a way to where it's not as gruesome as say Tarantino, but it's interesting. Like you could probably show this to someone and they'd be fine because it's going on a comedic like version of Rambo kind of.
Yeah.
And then like you say, it is like there is some legit good action scenes where you're like, you know, I do want to know how did they choreograph that? That's pretty
the choreography in this movie is actually really good.
Speak of that scene when he's got the guy in the chain and
yeah. Oh God.
He looks to that guy like, can you give me my gun? And the guy's like shaking his head no, and he just goes, yes. Like his face.
Oh man. And just they are in on the joke. Is like, okay, they're over the top and they're not going to die. And see, that's what I like. Unlike with Fast and Furious, where they constantly shift tones within a scene, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? At least Expendables knows it's stupid. You know what's going on here?
Should I be laughing? Is this a serious moment?
It's just Stallone's ego, so that alone tells you what you're in for. So it's like, but yeah, with Fast and Furious, you feel like you're missing something half the time, and it's so funny. I have people who hate stupid action movies but really love something like Furious 7. I don't get it. So I'm like, it's funny.
That doesn't make much sense at all.
That's the one where the plot makes the least sense, and that has the biggest critic score. I'm like,
maybe isn't that the one where Paul Walker couldn't finish it because he died?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's probably what it is. It's just the whole he's dead and boo-hoo.
It must be a James Wan thing. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I really dig Patrick Hughes because he's come from, again, you know, he did Expendables. That was one of the critiqued ones, part 3. And then, you know, he had also done a Western, a bunch of short films. And, you know, here I think he has probably his best action on display. And I was fortunate enough, I saw it in theaters and they played an intro that he had pre-recorded before then. And he did his best Sam Jackson impression saying, no, seriously, thank you for turning out to see a fun genre piece that we made for you guys. So I was like, okay, interesting. I've never seen that kind of marketing before, but I'll take it.
I'll watch anything that somebody puts passion into. I'll give anything a chance.
Sucks, but yeah.
It's actually really funny. I mentioned Midnight Run earlier, and there's a lot of Midnight Run undertones to this movie, the first one.
Especially with the car chases, and I'm with you. At some point, I did think there was going to be a rival bounty hunter or tracker or something getting in the web of things, but no. But it goes to a similar way where it kind of like that in Beverly Hills Cop, where you're just like, man, they're just making all this profanity just funny. It shouldn't work, but it really is. And like you say, it does have that just let loose. You know, it's like everyone's going to run around wild in this world that they've created.
So good. It's definitely a very entertaining, enjoyable movie that, I mean, it's my favorite Ryan Reynolds movie, and that's saying a lot.
It's mine as well.
Okay, yeah. And I definitely put it in his top 10 somewhere. I mean, and I like how he still occasionally will show up and make a cameo and not as himself. Like he was in Criminal, so that was what got him into the movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's the guy who changes the face and everything, and yeah,
he wasn't even credited for that either.
I don't think so. Yeah, he did that with that similar sci-fi film he did with Ben Kingsley. That was kind of hard to get into. So it's like I think he likes to
Selfless.
I never watched that, honestly. Yes. I own it, and I still have never watched it.
It was a selfless role, but yeah, it's interesting how, like you say, he now has the freedom now to where he can do what he should have been doing when he was first out of the gate. You know?
Yeah.
Well, Deadpool made people finally appreciate Ryan Reynolds' brand of comedy. He always had that. People just didn't appreciate it yet.
I mean, if you've ever watched...
was a cult hit, but it bombed in theaters or something like that.
Yeah.
If you ever watched Van Wilder, I mean, it's basically Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool there, too.
Oh, that's what I liked, because he even makes like a Van Wilder reference in Deadpool. I'm like, I see what you did there. You're breaking the fourth wall again. Nice.
Apparently in Germany... That's the only way anybody knows who Ryan Reynolds is. I'm sure by now they know him as Deadpool, but
That's
he
so
used to make
wild.
comments about when he'd be in Germany. They're like, "Oh, Van Wilder, party animal."
Yeah. You can't escape it, and he'll take it. And because that's just it. When he got into Green Lantern, I think he was up to a point, he was hot for a minute, and then he had to restart all fucking over again. And Deadpool was his last card to play.
Green Lantern hurt him.
He was excited for the whole Green Lantern thing, and then
He was.
he actually came out and said
Well,
that
so
he
was the director until he got locked out of the editing room. So it's like, yeah. And then same thing with him. He had to restart all over again. He was the James Bond director, and he's like, well, now I'm not getting any gigs again. What the fuck?
Well, the director didn't even want Ryan Reynolds. He wanted Bradley Cooper, so he kind of treated Ryan Reynolds like shit throughout the entire filming process. That's Ryan Reynolds said himself.
Bradley Cooper over fucking Ryan Reynolds.
He said himself, Ryan's like,
sure.
I'm so glad that movie bombed because I could not have done another two.
Everyone won. It just was a rough scattershot transition. I mean, even the studio wasn't proud of it. So here we are. How do
they
you
still haven't made a new one? Like, I feel like you guys, enough time has passed. You can make another Green Lantern film. Just make it good.
I think even the Justice League is like, nope. We'll allow other people from his universe, like especially at the end of that. It's like, no.
I do have a question for Mike before we move on back to Hitman's Bodyguard. Mike, do you have a copy of Green Lantern within reach of you right now?
Oh crap! I don't. I cleaned my desk off. No,
He
I used
usually has
to.
He usually has it right in front of him. He loves it.
Usually.
I mean, I just love Ryan Reynolds so much. That movie is a guilty pleasure for sure. It's terrible. It's so
one of the highest
bad.
ranked movies on Netflix. So
It's so bad. But I mean, I've always said that, Ryan Reynolds didn't do a bad job as Hal Jordan. The movie and the story just sucked.
oh, good. Yeah.
I mean, at the beginning, he wasn't a horrible Hal Jordan, honestly. He was cocky and kind of arrogant like he is.
Yeah.
That's Ryan Reynolds talking. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
In a world where Ryan Reynolds is playing Hal Jordan and Ryan Reynolds in the same movie.
My favorite scene in Hitman's Bodyguard, though, and it's not even a long one. It's
Thank you
just
for bringing us back. You're
welcome.
talking about this movie.
so on our podcast, Culture Shocked, selfless plug. Honestly, we get veered off of our subject so much that I'm surprised we don't have 4-hour episodes.
That's where the comedy usually comes from, though.
It's true. But my favorite scene in this movie, though, is when he's just sitting at that bar, bitching to that bartender, and this stuff's all just happening around him, cars crashing, shots firing, and he's just not even reacting. He's like, I was up here, now I'm down here. I don't know why I love that so much, but
That's what it's like to have children.
yes,
Oh.
that is 100% true.
Speaking of which, they do get into some really fucked up pregnant jokes in this
Yeah. Oh,
second one.
well,
Yeah.
it's so funny that you talk about that because at the end of that scene, when he's like, "Now I gotta go save him again," then he's just finally breaks, like he knows what's
This
going
should
on.
have
He's like,
totally
"God
had
damn
a
it."
bunch of Me Too feminists, SJWs complaining, and it's like, nope, no one. Not everyone knew what they were getting into.
Nah, I don't know if I've read bad reviews on it, but
I mean, they did that with the Olympus Has Fallen ones. They'd be like, hey, this is all like a messed up 80s movie, like Air Force One or Red Dawn. I'm like, yes, that's totally what it's trying to be. What's next?
Well, that was the thing. Like, I didn't see anybody complaining about this movie about like anything like that. It was just people being like, "Oh, it's
I
just."
think they just want to do it if it's just a better known star. If it's someone they like, then they leave them alone. I could be wrong though. They click on. People.
I mean, that's I don't know, like because I mean Samuel L. Jackson was in this movie. I just don't know. Everybody loves Samuel L. Jackson, I guess. Nobody hates him.
You don't give a fuck. And I mean, it's kind of the same thing with even like the fourth Shaft movie he was in. It's like, yeah, they're doing so much just references to just basically in that one, Shaft is now a douchebag, teaching Junior how to be a badass. So it's like, yeah, I mean.
I enjoyed that movie.
Oh, I did too, and so many people hated it. I'm like,
Oh,
really?
so many people.
I mean, it's just fun.
That's a lot of people who weren't even around when the first one was made, which I am in that group, but
They don't count.
Fuck them, they don't count.
It's fuck them. Who needs them? Some Bo Burnham for you. Sorry.
All good. We'll do it live. So where does this rank in Sam Jackson's repertoire of various characters?
Oh,
Oh wow, Kincaid.
Because it's weird, because this is kind of his Deadpool, where he is making fun of his band. But I'm sorry, I dig Darius Kincaid. I really do. And he says at the beginning, I've killed like 140 people. I'm like, badass. I don't have to see it. I believe it.
There's actually a really good line that he says in the first movie that throughout this entire insane comedy, like this insane action comedy, that is actually, it's a serious thought-provoking question, you know? He's like, who's worse, me who kills evil motherfuckers or you who protects them?
Good question.
That's right, yeah,
Good question.
So
There's no easy answer.
So as far as that goes, actually, I do really appreciate Darius Kincaid. I think he's I think his character is probably more fleshed out than the rest of the characters in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest are just kind of take it or leave it. Anyone could have played it. And
Right.
they're there just to serve as comedic bits. So they're not really written as actual characters.
Like even when they showed how each, like how, you know, he met his wife and how Ryan met his girlfriend or whatever the hell. Like,
Oh, I love that scene. Foreigners, I want to
Like-
know what love is. It's
Yes.
like, oh, man.
like, but his scene at the bar with Salma Hayek was way more like believable than what the fuck ever that happened between Ryan
Right.
and when I seen that, it's like, are you fucking serious? I mean, I love it, but this is so dumb.
I do love though in his where she's like kind of tackling him to the ground and his face never changes, just looking at her.
Right. Nothing
No
else
matter what's
matters,
happening around
baby.
him. That's fucking
Was he like
hilarious.
drunk and like just eating all the hors d'oeuvres?
Was.
Oh, man. Pretty
So-
funny.
I have an unpopular opinion here though. The second movie to me, I thought was terrible.
Oh, good.
It's
I was disappointed in it.
It just, I don't know. It had moments that I thought were funny, but
I thought it was
overall-
slowly going downhill, and
Yeah,
the first half I think is a watchable mediocrity. Then picks up in the second part when Banderas goes all Scarface,
Yeah,
and Morgan Freeman is still basically in red mode. He's just like,
That's-
I'm a bodyguard.
I was excited for Morgan when I saw Morgan Freeman, and then I was disappointed with his entire role.
See, where the first movie
He
knew
can
what
play
it
that role in his
was,
sleep. Yeah.
where the first movie knew what it was and played into it. This one knew what it was and looked at the camera and went, huh? It pushed it. It went to.
It needed more of that.
Exactly.
And Selma got, I mean, even though she's the main character, she doesn't really get interesting until like the second part of the movie, kind of. It's like then she starts being normal and being a regular person. The first time is like, okay, Ryan, why are you hanging out with these guys when you know they're not normal people? So why are you even asking that?
And you know, the whole him leaving his future self voicemails, that was kind of believable. I could definitely see his character doing that. I don't know, the movie itself, like the whole gelato thing with his mom, I'm like, this is so stupid. It's not like, to me that wasn't funny. Like I didn't get it. It's right. Corey said it. You know, they took what they did with the first one and they just they amped it up.
It seemed like they put more into the marketing versus the actual movie. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
always use protection with him holding an RPG. And it's like, why isn't that in the movie? And I had more fun even just looking at the special features. But truth be told, I wanted a commentary track because I think there's one for the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
There's one for the first one.
Okay, so yeah, and it's like the second one. There's nothing. You get generic like B-roll of them behind the scenes. But the best part of the special features was seeing Frank Grillo, who plays an Interpol agent from Boston, and he's like, Reynolds is like the best actor I've worked with. No kidding. He's he's so subtle, and he can change any scene by just twisting his head. I'm like, that's interesting coming from that kind of actor who's always serious.
Oddly enough, I think he might have been my favorite part of the second movie. I actually enjoyed his character.
He said it was a favorite role for him. He had been a friend of the director, and they were going to work eventually. And then this is the one that they finally ended up on. But I think they'll do more projects together because, in fact, they're working on the remake of The Raid right now with Michael Bay and the Gareth
Yeah, I'm not
Edwards.
sure how I feel about that still.
I'm for it because I wasn't a fan of The Raid.
Oh, I love the Raid
Popular
movies.
opinion.
Good old Michael Bay.
I love Michael. Well, Gareth Edwards still supervising it too, so there's something for everybody.
You just know that there's going to be explosions. That's all. Like lots of them.
Many of them.
Well, I don't see what's wrong with explosions.
Oh no, me neither.
My problem was I like Iko Uwais, but I just can't get into Joe Taslim and just all the other characters. It just reminded me how better Dredd and Die Hard were.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I
get it. I get that people love the fights in the raid, and I get that. So it's like, okay.
Oh, that's literally all it is. I love the fights. Like a lot of really good choreographed fights, brutal fights in a movie can make me completely forget that the story is shit. I drown in it.
It depends. I mean, it's really like. It also depends on how long it goes on. Like if it takes forever to get to such a cool, awesome fight scene.
Yeah, like I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie. I think it was called The Protector with Tony Jaa.
Yes.
Right near the end, he has to fight these like 60 guys.
That
and
makes up for all the other random bullshit that goes on in the movie. Yeah.
And he just fights those guys for like 8 straight minutes, breaking all their arms. It's ridiculous.
Up the staircase, yes.
It's amazing.
Just to get a fucking elephant back.
Yeah.
Why does that remind me? I think
his name is like Rice or something. Rice, no, Rice, don't die on me.
That just reminds me of those. You ever see those stick figure animation fight scenes?
Oh yes,
that's what it reminds me of when.
There were some awesome ones back in the day where they would do like, this is what it would look like if Bruce Lee fought Jet Li, and it's like they was on the money. Jet Li does the whole jump up and using just his legs, and Bruce does a small stance, and you can't get into him. It's like, yeah, there's some awesome stick figure fights that are more awesome than actual fight scenes in movies.
Wait, why'd we stop talking about Ryan Reynolds? What the hell happened?
What the fuck?
Anyway, of course, Mike would bring it back to Ryan Reynolds. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for keeping us on track.
I feel like Sam Jackson has a lot to do. I still think he gets some fun lines. I like the setup in part 2 where, again, his wife stupidly misheard. Oh, that's the guy you hate. So he's the guy I call. I'm like, no, don't call him. We don't want anything to do with each other. I like the nightclub fight. I know, John, you said you had trouble seeing some of the fights in this.
Well, not in that fight, but the rest of the fights, the editing was quite terrible at times. Particularly during the finale.
I don't know why. I can see everything. I don't know why.
I did love the little clever pen knife thing that he got him with. That was kind of cool.
Knife. I've already forgotten this, and I just saw it the other day. Pen knife.
What else? That ridiculous fact where they blows up the ship, and then they're somehow all 3 of them manage to jump off and get into the water. Like,
oh yeah, well, and just before we get there, I mean, I did find the scene where they first meet Morgan Freeman. Even though, yes, I agree with you guys. Yes, he didn't have enough to do. It was literally felt like just one day's worth, and his stand-in took over the rest of the time. But yeah, it's funny how it's like, oh, I'm your stepdad, but the whole "I just own you" just after that, I'm like, for real. You just got back together and now you're just going to throw him out of his life again? Okay. That's bizarre. But I love how when he's explaining him and Jackson's, showing what a bigot he is, he's like, but you're white. And he's, yes. And, he's my stepdad.
I do. Yeah. I keep loving because he's clearly trying to get him to be like, but he's black. And Ryan's just like, what?
Which is just so stupid as it is. He's already in a biracial, relationship.
Yeah, right.
It's like, dude, it happens.
Hey, you know what? Detective Pikachu did the same thing. The main character was Justice Smith, and his dad ended up being Ryan Reynolds. So,
yeah, funny how that works. Movie within a movie. So, I feel like there was a little bit more Deadpool type gags. But I mean, in all respects, I mean, I didn't really care for Deadpool 2 because I can see why the director left. It was too clever for its own good, unlike the first one. But I feel like this is kind of the same deal. It's like, okay, it was good the first time around, but you guys you forgot what made it awesome. I really like, though, how Banderas is just playing it so smooth and serious at the same time. Just like, but I like him way better than Gary Oldman because Gary Oldman just isn't on screen all that much in the first until.
That's true.
Gary Oldman, like I said, took the whole role very seriously. Like
He's still in Air
it was
Force
like
One mode, and
yeah,
it was like
it was like there was no comedic bone in that man's body for that movie.
yeah. And Banderas, I mean, he's serious, but he still gets a few lines in there. And I mean, again,
Right.
he was one of the Expendables, so of course he's in on the joke. He's done all sorts of outrageous movies, but I just love his hairpiece and how he just takes out that giant machine gun and he has a few other quick, see it and a miss it. I would watch this again, but there is some dog shit in it, even though it's still not perfect, and it's better than other generic comedies. I mean, obviously you'll watch any of these over, say, something like Ride Along. Ride Along is my favorite movie to shit on, but that goes without saying. So
Those movies are terrible.
What's that movie with Jimmy Fallon, Taxi?
Oh God, why would you want to watch anything with Jimmy Fallon?
I don't even. Where did that come from? Like that's deep.
Isn't that
it came from Queen Latifah's ass.
That's a cop movie, isn't it? I feel like that's a.
I think she's
it's a buddy movie nonetheless. So yeah,
I was just thinking of shitty comedies to never watch again.
I have a list of those.
Well, I mean, John, what's your least favorite buddy movie?
Oh God, I would say Ride Along. I mean, that's easy.
Yes, okay, go with one that's harder besides Beverly Hills Cop 3. Come on. Come on.
I would. Ooh, man, there's so many I can name. Right there.
Just the first one. Just pop it out. It's like, give me time to look up a shitty buddy movie I don't like.
Milo and Otis.
Oh,
wait, what?
Blasphemy. Great kids movie.
How dare you?
I love that movie. I'm just fucking with it. I was just trying to get. I was just trying to get
puppies on the making of it. Oh God. It can be. Oh, I'll make it easy. What's that Nick Cannon movie where he goes undercover as a high school cop? That one sucked.
Drum the Line? That's a different movie.
Drum Line 2, yeah.
Does that exist? I don't even know.
Yes, it exists, and it's terrible. You should totally see it.
That's not a good selling point.
Well, if you got to do a podcast on shitty buddy movies, you got to see it. Oh, God. Oh, well, I know you're a fan of the Dennis Rodman Van Damme movie, which I can't stand.
Double Team.
Double Team. Oh my God. What the fuck was that?
You know it was a surprisingly good buddy action comedy was
The Man with Sam Jackson.
No, I was thinking The Nice Guys with Russell Crowe and
that movie's hilarious.
Ryan what the heck? Gosling.
It's okay.
Ryan Gosling. I didn't know that Russell Crowe could be funny.
Right.
Russell Crowe's always funny.
That scene, the elevator scene, is probably by far one of my favorite scenes in a buddy comedy movie. They're just going up and they open the door and they just see people dying left and right. And they both look at each other like, nope, fuck that. And they go back down.
Oh, I just remembered one now. How I forget? Well, it's a good thing I forgot about this. Was Cop Out.
Oh, keep hurting, my friends.
What about I Spy with Owen Wilson? And
I like it. And I'm not an Owen Wilson guy, but I kind of like Showtime better.
I'm gonna say Starsky and Hutch is probably my least favorite.
Oh yeah,
that's a pretty bad one.
You know, something's bad when the best part of the cameos and they're barely in the movie. Oh my God, what the fuck was that movie? There's a few others. Tower Heist was better than it had any right to be, and I say that.
I would agree with that. Actually,
that was weirdly good.
It's like, even though it was just so derivative, it just helped that it was just going in like a comedic version of like Dog Day Afternoon and just Ocean's 11 Light. It's like, that's why
it was.
That was the last Eddie Murphy movie I enjoyed.
Oh, you didn't like Dynamite?
I didn't see it.
You should see it. You it's like, man, this is what Eddie's should have been doing for years. Metro is a better one. It's like
on a more serious side of Eddie Murphy, Mr. Church is really good.
I heard that's really good.
I was really taken back by it. It's like, why did critics blow up on this? It's like,
I don't know. I thought
critics like to be assholes and just try to shit on everything.
It was a very realistic movie, and
it was.
The audience has spoken. They gave it a higher score than critics. So, critics,
exactly. look at audience
typically
scores.
when I look at Rotten Tomatoes, I typically look at the audience score first when I go and see something.
Oh, always. If it's got a 70%. Now, it's not always 100%. There's always movies that are awful, like bottom of the barrel, that get an A. But usually if it's a critically acclaimed and it's a C-, usually I'm on the audience.
Yeah, usually.
I can't fully, trust that system though, because the audience score for Pig is super high, and that movie. I don't even understand how anybody likes that movie at all.
Yeah, I don't say that about most of A24 stuff. Everyone's like, the best, great independent company. I'm like, there were so many better independent companies. There's ones that are still here, and you're acting like that's the final independent studio. Get out of
here. Did A24 do Tusk?
I don't know.
I don't.
Because I really like Tusk, but that's like in the vein of those movies. But I mean, don't know if A24.
I thought Hereditary was acceptable, but I hated Midsommar. I was like, no, this is Mono's The Hands of Fate.
I saw Swiss Army Man, and that was just too weird. I tried to enjoy it.
What the hell was that?
I tried to enjoy it. I couldn't.
No, they did not do Tusk.
Oh, okay. I know Kevin Smith did, but I wasn't sure if he worked with them.
It Comes at Night was a pretty good horror film. I recommend The Farewell with Awkwafina, but yeah, there's plenty of other James Franco shitfests that they produce where you're just like,
you said James Franco shitfest comes after that.
There's very little that I enjoy James Franco in. Now, if we're going to talk about Dave Franco, on the other hand, I love Dave Franco.
I don't mind Dave.
I'm a fanboy for sure.
Both Now You See Me movies are great, I think.
Oh, totally. I should invite you guys back on to do a double feature with that in Red.
Oh, Jesus. I love those movies.
Dude, the first, I mean, if we're going to do an episode, I don't like talk too much about it, but like the first Now You See Me movie, the twist in that it caught me off guard. And I'm usually really good at seeing that kind of shit coming.
And this is what these movies needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been quite as good if they didn't have some kind of big twist on them.
Yeah, basically this movie, like you guys say, it doesn't make too much of an impression. It keeps your attention, but it still is meh. It needed a little more extra something. I enjoyed myself, but really only in the second half. The first half I could have done without. It was only when they were in the nightclub and then Sam Jackson was doing the whole just tit squeezing and all of the other just crazy bullshit going on. And I was like, oh, okay, now I'm really having fun, even though this is just still too stupid, even by its own standards. This is like, okay.
I mean, it's true. Towards the end of that movie, I will admit that the entire like sequence of events in the last, say, 30 minutes or so definitely was a lot better than the rest of the movie. But
I don't know if it's that we're getting too cynical for our own good. It just only worked in the 80s or something, or what? It just
Fortunately, I went into the second movie already knowing that there were a lot of bad reviews on it. Like I knew that it didn't do too well, so I didn't go into it expecting it to be just like the first one, which probably made it easier for me to watch, because otherwise I feel like I would have been extremely disgusted.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It's not a good standalone movie. And I say that with all respect, because it's like there are moments that are way better. Like the agents that, are in the middle of this actually have something more to do with the plot. And again, Banderas is just chewing the scenery. But like you say, the main plot sucks. It's just not intriguing. It doesn't make you say, I want to keep watching it. And I got basically a lazy HBO feel from it. It's like, okay, it's good that I'm watching this at midnight versus
I'm not gonna lie, I only continued to watch it because I knew we were doing this episode and I needed to talk about it.
Well, no, and I can't lie. I was thinking I'm not digging this so far. It's just, man, then again the second half is like it's a way different kind of movie. So it's like, but at the same time, it was like what could have been, should have been. It's enough to basically, it's like eating a mediocre meal and then at the very end they give you all this great Bluebell ice cream and birthday cake and you're just like, sweet, it was worth suffering through all the awful broccoli and rice and
and then you have your sugar crash.
Yeah, it's sugar high. Yeah, it's just like, well, okay, but still, I can't give this a complete review. So I'm not lying. I went back and forth on my rating. First it was a 1, then it was a 2, then it was 2.5, then it went to a 3, then it kind of went back to a 2.5, then it went back to a 3. So all in all, a mediocre yet watchable outing, and not a 4 out of 5 like the first one. This is like,
The way I like to see these movies, and the second one in particular, is if I'm cooking something and that movie happens to come on in the TV in the background, I'll keep it on and pay attention every once in a while. But I'm never going to change to that channel, is what I'm saying.
Well, no, fair, and all fair. And I mean, I think there's some gags that will improve on the second viewing, but at the same time, it's still a terrible pitch. It's like, again, this is like getting a salesman to sell you something, and they're not good at selling stuff to begin with. And then finally at the very end, like you hang around at this networking event, and eventually someone who everyone wants to talk to comes in the door and you shake hands with them. You know, it's that kind of feeling I got. It was like, wait around long enough, but
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I would rather watch Green Lantern than Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Oh, damn. Pure torture. Yeah.
I'm not going to go that far.
Yeah, I don't think I can even go with you on that one, Mike. I
mean, out of all the mediocre movies Ryan Reynolds has done and stolen the show I mean, I would watch this over Detective Pikachu.
Really? I was.
I'm more of a Sonic the Hedgehog guy.
I was pleasantly surprised by Detective Pikachu, but you know what?
He was the best part of it.
I went into that movie thinking that movie was going to suck, just like I went into Free Guy thinking Free Guy was going to suck, and I was completely blown away by that.
You know, I didn't know what I was going to think about Free Guy. All I knew is that it's likely everyone's going to love it because it's a movie about gamers, but I was like, I'm just going to wait and go in and just have fun. But
I thought I was going to hate it for sure.
The trailer really didn't make it, like, it didn't really make it appealing. Like, I remember watching the trailer going, this movie looks like it's going to suck.
And now I know. I didn't see the trailer for either of these. So, I mean, it's interesting how, yes, trailers do wreck certain movies, and then there's other ones where it's just, you're entertained still, but you're still a little disappointed. It's wild, though, with Deadpool, because, I mean, there's stuff exclusive that's in that trailer. You know, the trailer is its own star. It's not in the movie. And like you say,
I do love that.
Oh, yeah, and that's what I kind of miss that with trailers. And at the same time, like you say, I mean, yeah, Free Guy, it was just a pleasant movie. It wasn't really ha-ha funny for me like it was to most people, but I was like, still, I mean, this is still a movie with some heart and charm, and it's not mindless. And so now I do want to do, I was joking with the guys before we started the chat. I was like, let's do Zach Penn's virtual reality trilogy. Let's do Last Action Hero and Ready Player One, and then do Free Guy all in one scoop.
All right.
So
that's the thing. Like, that movie, you didn't see it coming at the end with that. It's actually a love story. Like, and you're kind of like, whoa, that's really clever.
And then the actress did her own cover of the song. Is like, that's interesting. So it's like, and even the bad guy isn't necessarily a bad guy. He's just an ego-headed, video gamer guy. So that only reinforces the gaming charms. There's something I wouldn't really see in something unless it was something like, I don't know, Gremlins 2 or, it's like, I got that vibe. I was just an executive who's technically a piece of shit, but you just kind of find funny in his own right. It's like, that's fun too. So again, this is an easygoing kind of movie. And again, Ryan Reynolds fights himself with muscles. So I'm like,
and that was Ryan Reynolds' idea.
Oh, totally. This is what Hitman's Bodyguard 2 needed. It needed Ryan Reynolds fighting himself.
I agree.
It needed a doppelganger or somebody who'd been an imposter. That would have been a funny plot twist. What? You're in this part of Europe, you're a dickhead. Oh, we got you mistaken for this hitman guy, and you're just a bodyguard. So
I forgot. Okay. There is a scene in the second one that I absolutely love. And it's
besides the tit squeezing.
Yeah. When she gives him that pill. And he gets in, and you think that he's actually like figuring this shit out and getting them out of there and shit, and then it pans to him. He fucking passed out on the steering wheel.
Oh, I forgot about that. But yeah, I do recall the travel there. It's like, what the hell? And I think he definitely gets beat up more in this.
Oh yeah,
there are some better physical gags, but at the same time, like, it just doesn't ignite as much as it did the first time around when he was, almost getting run over by Sam Jackson by accident. So it's like, yeah, it's weird.
I will give this movie props. Like a lot of sequels, when it comes to these kind of movies, they do this terrible thing where they try to reuse old jokes from the first movie. Yeah. Like the biggest one that always comes to mind, because it's my favorite movie of all time, is the second Boondock Saints. Reuses all of the old jokes from the first one, and it just makes the movie almost unwatchable to me. I can't stand the second one.
No, that's a good point.
This movie here, they did the seatbelt roll joke once, but it didn't feel forced. But other than that, they didn't try to reuse anything really from the first movie.
And I love how it opens up where he's haunted by his bodyguard, a client. He's like, and I mean, this movie goes to town with all the gory headshots, so it just gets you in the mood for this. Is like, if you don't like what you see now, leave. You know, we are John Wick mentality where we don't give a fuck. But at the same time, like you say, it is interesting how it could have easily backfired and done what Boondock Saints 2 did, where it's just like, why are you covering this? This has jack diddle to do with that, and it takes away the mystery. You know, it's like some stuff. You know, mysteries don't need to be revealed. I remember one fan when new Star Wars movies were coming out, and I was like, this is going to be a bad idea. And he doesn't believe me. And he's just like, oh, we should totally reveal how Han Solo made the Kessel Run. I'm like, fuck off. No, that's the whole point. It's a mystery. You're not supposed to know. And this is kind of where I was. I loved how they explained where some of the bullets hit him and everything. Is like, no, this is what would happen. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. So I wondered if that was reshoots or if they took some unused footage and inserted there and it was working.
Yeah, I do. I love that he talks about he can't have kids because he shot him in the nuts.
Oh, totally. It's like you didn't see it coming.
Like I said, the movie had some really good moments. It had, like, I didn't hate it. It just, to me, it just compared to the first one was a huge step down.
And some of the some of the best stuff you gotta squeeze in for the bullshit to get to. And I love the bit at the end. Interpol agents Gary and Johan for their, and then, but if you go all the way to the credits, they pop up. Like there's a sticker that reads, you know, in memory of Interpol agents Gary and Johan. They
I didn't even see that.
But again, is like, who's gonna watch that at the end? It's like, guys, I wish you guys would place your jokes a little, you know, have all the fart jokes at the beginning and then have all the other funny stuff, you know, in between as filler or some bullshit. I don't know.
You're making me remember things about this movie that I liked, and now I'm starting to like not hate it as much.
You're turning them around on this movie, I think.
Well, don't get me wrong. I really did not like the beginning of the movie. And then it's like the second part is like all the stuff that should have been at the beginning. And it's like, so it gets your attention. Then you got 20 minutes of bullshit. And then plus other 20, then there's 10 other minutes of, okay, plot picks up. And then the other 20 minutes. And it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, there really wasn't much of a plot to this movie at all.
No, what I mean is just the plot twist with the nightclub and all that. But yes, the rest of it is just Jackie Chan stunts.
Like the first one definitely had more of a plot that, I mean, I'm not going to say it made sense, but it made a hell of a lot more sense than this one.
It was organized, and it just, again, like you say, there was enough winking, and it's like, okay, we're deliberately over the top, and the ones who seemed to hate it were just ones who just, in general, just didn't like 80s or 90s movies.
If you fly through a windshield, you're not going to just get up with no cuts or bruises on you, like that part.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that was accurate. Okay.
Oh, man. Oh, so I feel like we've talked about both of them enough. I'm going to let you guys rate them. So, John, you can go first. On a 5-star scale.
Be 4 out of 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one, I give 2.5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair.
Corey, shoot.
First one, also 4 out of 5 for me. It's very enjoyable. It doesn't hit that. Sorry, it doesn't hit that quite that 5 mark for me that makes me laugh the entire movie. But 4 out of 5, it's very solid. Second one, it's a 2 out of 5. It's a swing and a miss for me. There were quite a few funny jokes in the second one, but the rest of it just didn't hold up long enough for me to care about those jokes.
All good. Mike.
The first one's definitely like a 4.5 for me for the first one. Like I said, it's my favorite Ryan Reynolds movie. It's overall, it's over the top, but it's phenomenal in its own way. I think the second one for me is, and I feel like I'm being generous by giving it a 2.
Okay.
It's just feel like because I love the first one so much that I despise the second one.
That's the reason I gave it a 2 also, just the carryover from the first one. If you watch first to second, you're still kind of in that first one mentality. It can give you a little bit of push.
It raised the bar so much. It was too good for its own right.
Yeah.
Right.
That it just had enough gags and something for everyone, even those who didn't like those kinds of action movies. It did enough just tributes, like even a better homage than most of the buddy movies have, like, where it's, again, they're trying to be like Ride Along, where you're just like, okay, I don't want to see an angry rapper shout at Kevin Hart for 2 hours. That's fucking dog shit. So, and it's not funny. Yelling is not the same as a punchline.
It was a very good 15-minute sketch on the Conan O'Brien show. Very funny for 15 minutes. Not good.
Oh,
for 2
that
hours.
was a funny thing where he's running around ordering burgers with them and trolling.
See, that was funny because it was 15 minutes. It was a short sketch.
It was. It's Conan. So
Conan is my fucking hero. So I love everything he does.
John and I were listening to what's his name, Bob Odenkirk, who was his old buddy. Promote Nobody, and Conan, after he's gone, he's like, I need to be in Nobody too. I'll be the main villain. I'll have crazier hair. I'm like, please do that. I know it won't happen, but please make it happen.
That would be great.
Oh, Conan.
I mean, sequels are very rarely ever better than the first. I mean, unless you're Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire.
T2 Judgment Day. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It very rarely happens, and so I wasn't expecting this to be greater than the first one, but
and they really under-advertised it because there's they even have Chevel's new single that was getting played pop up in their Self-Destructor, and I was like, whoa, okay, interesting.
I love that song too. When that started playing, I'm like, oh, great, this is awesome.
I mean, I might even go so far as to say I really like the soundtrack more in part 2. I mean, I love when he's beating up the guys and Ace of Base plays, and he's like, you get a pass. That's a great song. But like you say, is like it doesn't have the same rhythm as part 1, where this is like you just, the soundtrack was just more less intrusive. So it's like,
right.
Okay,
well, the Ace of Base thing is actually a callback to the first one when he starts singing it in the car to try to counteract.
I didn't pick up on that. Oh fuck! And I love that song. So damn, that's. I might just do a marathon, and my opinion might change again. I don't know. But I do think these party movies are kind of coming back, but it's just very subtly. Everyone seems to think now, with a party movie, it's just whatever the big, what made, 50 million, broke 50 million at the box office now. And it's like, I think these really are the kinds of movies where you just want, again, don't want to think much, and at the same time is like there's a little thing for everyone. Those who don't want to pay attention to it or who are angrily watching it will still be hammered and kind of enjoying themselves. And like you say, those who are enjoying it, they can at least tell their friends, see, you kind of enjoyed it.
I would agree. I would say that this is definitely the kind of movie that you put on, you invite a group of people over, you sit around, bullshit, drink some beers, and just enjoy a good laugh.
Because I think we're also just kind of getting to is like we're kind of running out of party movies. Like even the ones we've watched 100 times, we just don't want to watch because we've watched the hell out of them. Like I don't want to watch Die Hard this Christmas. I love it to death, but I need something new this Christmas.
It does almost feel like a chore because people expect you to see certain things.
Yeah.
It's a weird predicament. I would not be surprised if they do a third one, but I doubt it can be any weaker than part 2. And at the same time, I doubt it can be any worse than other movies. And at the same time, like you say, I don't want them to shit on the first cult movie. So
I think that this has happened before too, where they'll make a third movie because the second one was so bad that they try to make up for that. And usually the case is the third one is better than the second one. So I wouldn't hate that idea.
Yeah.
I kind of want a third one just to wrap everything up.
What would you call it? The Hitman's
Oh man.
Mother?
Maybe it's the bodyguard's bodyguard. Maybe he gets a bodyguard.
Oh, that's basically the only way it can go. So, yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
And then just make it a pure like rom-com love story, not any shooting.
Oh, and then
Absolutely
Sandra
no.
Bullock from The Proposal pops up.
Oh,
That's right.
jeez. Oh,
And then we get
R.I.P.
Sandra
Betty
Bullock
White.
in action mode again. Perfect. And then Ryan Reynolds ends up starring in Miss Congeniality free. Boom.
Oh, don't. Do
I'd
that
watch
to
it.
me. Oh no.
I'd watch it.
I'm just dog bullshitting here. Oh man. So thank you for joining us, gents. Where can we find Culturally Shocked? Culture Shocked.
Culture Shock.
Why did I say culturally?
Don't worry, we'll rename it just so people can find us.
We'll do it live.
It's called
Story in
Culture
Mind.
Shocked. You can find it pretty much anywhere you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Good Pods, any of them really. You can also follow us on Twitter at CS Podcast 21, and we're on Facebook and Instagram, just Culture Shocked.
Sweet.
Yeah, Corey's in charge of all the social media. I like to pin that on him.
I do
Okay.
run all our social media, so
Okay, excellent. This was too much fun.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
We'd like to come back sometime.
Yeah, I
You know
enjoyed
it.
it.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All? Sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Hey, I heard you like movies.
I heard you like to hustle.
I heard you like podcasts.
Well, guess what?
There's a podcast for you out there called The Home Video Hustle.
Damn right.
Every Friday, we talk about whatever movie PJ picks out the bag. What does that mean? Every Wednesday on our YouTube page, I put a bunch of movies in a bag, and PJ picks one out at random. And then we just watch it. We talk about it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever we feel like doing, wherever the conversation leads us.
But do we actually talk about the movie?
Most of the time.
Ah,
Tangents galore.
yes.
So believe me, we may be a movie podcast, but it's not always about movies. We might talk about video games,
Music.
Yeah, that's the big one. Music. Sometimes we might get a little bit of politicalness in there.
Yes.
Sometimes we may just, we know what we like to do. We like to tell stories, PJ.
Ah, yes.
I am the master storyteller
Yes.
of the podcast realm. Undefeated. So if you like to hear about movies, video games, whatever foolishness comes to our mind, the most random stuff you could think of, check out the Home Video Hustle. You can find us on the Stitchers,
Yes.
the Google Play,
Yes.
Apple Podcasts,
What else?
Podbean,
What else?
Podcast Addict,
Goddamn.
all that. Ain't no reason you can't get your hustle on. We everywhere, worldwide, baby.
Hustle, motherfucking hustle.
Hey, we can't cuss in the promo, PJ. We
Ah,
gotta be family friendly. There may be podcasts out there that don't want his hair say
ah, ah,
all
yeah.
that good fun stuff.
Well, you.
Yeah. don't run the listeners away, PJ.
Ah, I'm sorry.
But this is going kind of long.
Yes.
So we'll end this and say, hey, check out the Home Video Hustle every Friday on all the various podcast outlets. Peace.
Peace.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And while Witch didn't make it to the top of the world, he did make the Gangs of Hollywood podcast. So join the gang and enjoy a movie review podcast about movie gangs, gangsters, mobsters, and the mayhem they cause. You can find GOH Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. At GOHPod at www.gohpod.com, as well as your favorite podcast listening app. And remember, say hello to your little friend for me.
If you take two old punk rockers who are past their prime, put them in front of a movie screen, and give them a podcast, what do you get? Cinema Punks. Cinepunks. It's the mixtape of movies.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was.
How
did
you watch this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
It's time, let's check our queue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-liner plot holes and gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy. At eilfm.podbean.com.
Hi, everybody. It's Mac Jackson. I wanted to invite you to a new site called the Forever Adventure Network. This website has everything. Pictures, videos, blogs. There's original music by Harmony Constant. 2 podcasts. One is the MacGyver podcast, where we celebrate Richard Dean Anderson, his iconic roles, and how it's influenced our lives. There's episode discussions, interviews, and life conversations. The second podcast is the Never Gets Old podcast, where we celebrate all the best things that we love in life, from TV, movies, music, and comics. The site is also the home for the MacGyver SG-1 audio series, an ongoing adventure series that continues the adventures of MacGyver and SG-1. There are also multiple stores to choose from for all of your pop culture and adventure needs. Come on by and check us out today. And thanks for for joining the adventure.
We now continue with our program.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.